Welcome to the lymphatic drainage for your arm. And before I dive in and show you what lymph nodes to open up, how to do it, how often, because we're going to go through this routine together, let's talk about why this might be beneficial. So I've had tons and tons of clients and a lot of individuals online through social media who've said when they started to implement this, it has made a huge difference. So if you're somebody that has fluid retention in your fingers, in your wrists, in your elbows, wherever it may be, this would be something that you would want to implement. Now, if you're somebody too that also has things like arthritis, this might be good to add and start to do, because remember, arthritis is inflammation. And when we can get inflammation moving and draining, you're gonna feel a whole lot better. So I've had people who have said, look, the pain is way down in my joints, or the fluid is way down, or I have better grip strength when they started implementing this. So let's get started. As always, we are always going to start with our termini. So make sure you locate your termini and you're going to clear them however you feel comfortable. So what we're going to do is we're going to do 10 to 20 pumps, up to 50. If you have a lot of fluid retention, you're going to do more. It's nice and slow. You are not digging, you are not pulling, you are not scraping. It's just very, very gentle. Now, you can do this one side or the other. And remember, we are going to be doing this focused on the arms. And this would also be super beneficial as we're doing this to talk about if you did have lymph nodes removed, if you've had a mastectomy, if you've had any type of surgeries, even if you've had like augmentation or implants, this would be very beneficial to help get things moving. The next node that we're going to go to is the apical node. So you can do both of these at the same time, or you can do one side at a time. So I'm going to do one side, and we're going to do nice and gentle circles, bringing it up towards the collarbone. As we did with the termini, we're going to do anywhere between 10 and 50, depending upon how much congestion you have in that node. Now, remember, these are very important to do in the order in which we're doing them, because we can't just jump to where the fluid is. There's congestion somewhere along the way, right? Like, think about a traffic jam. The traffic jam, the people at the back of the traffic jam are there because of cars in front of it. So you can't move the cars at the back of the traffic jam before moving the cars before it. So what does that mean? I'll explain that as we go onto the armpit. So we're gonna lift our arm up, wrap our fingers around, bring it down, and then bring it up and in. So we're always moving that fluid towards our collarbones or our termini. This is also going to be somewhere between 10 and 50 pumps based upon how much fluid retention that you have. This one can be a little bit tender if you have a lot of fluid in there, because remember, when there's fluid, it usually means inflammation, and inflammation causes tissue breakdown. After we open up our armpit, what we're going to do is we're going to go and we're going to do our elbow. This isn't one that I teach all the time. This isn't part of the specific 7. So for the elbow, what we're going to do is we're going to take our hand, place it on the inside of our elbow, and we're going to gently pull or traction our skin up. And as we do this, you can see I'm not doing any big movements, no big motions, but we're just tractioning the skin. This is also going to be somewhere between 10 and 50. And then from here, what we're going to do is we're going to go to our wrists. So after we've completed our elbow, we're going to go to our wrist, and we're going to do the back of our wrist, but we're also going to flip it and do the front of our wrist. What this is going to do is this is going to help drain the fluid in our hands, in our fingers. And again, we're going to do somewhere between 10 and 50, depending upon how much fluid you have. So if you have a lot of fluid retention in your hand, you're going to want to be higher up, like 40 or 50. If you don't have a whole lot of fluid, you might be able to get away with like 20. Now, if you're somebody that has a lot of fluid, after you go down, you may choose to go back up. So after I do my wrist, I would then go back to my elbow and get this to move, because remember, we got the fluid to move from our hand. Now we want to get it to move from our elbow again. And if the fluid's been sitting there for a while and just getting thick and gross and not clearing, kind of like not like moving water in a river, we may just want to go back up and get it to move back to our armpit. Remember, we want to keep our arm relaxed down when we're doing this one. We don't want to keep it up. When we keep it up, we're tightening all the muscles in this area, and it makes it very difficult to ultimately address the lymphatic tissues that we're trying to address in that area. And then after our armpit, we go back to our apical node. So nice little circles, bringing it around and up. And then after our apical node, and remember, we'll go back to our termini, but as you come back up, you might not need to do as many pumps or as many stimulations as you did on the way down. You may be able to get away with doing like half of what you did and finishing it up with the termini. Now you can see we only did one side. That means you got to do the other side. But with that being said, make sure that you're always doing both sides. Even if one side is more problematic than the other, you want to make sure that you're clearing both arms. Now, you might be asking, well, why did you not do the rest of the specific 7 or the total 12 even? This is area specific. I still highly recommend that you do all of the lymph nodes, ideally the total 12, but at least the specific 7. And then you can go and focus in on the particular area that's being problematic for you, whether it's your left hand or your right hand. But you want to always make sure that we're doing everything to make sure everything is clearing, even if we have more stagnation or more problems in one area. What I want you guys to do is go open up all the lymph nodes on the other side, starting with your termini, then your apical, your armpit, your elbow, your wrist, and then if you have more fluid or you retain more fluid in that area because of a surgery, scar, mastectomy, whatever it may be, even a past injury, then I would highly recommend that you go back up and go elbow, armpit, apical node, termini. It's always a good idea too to incorporate your diaphragmatic breathing, even though the diaphragmatic breathing is really to help with the rib cage down. It really does help get us into a parasympathetic state. So if you're somebody that does have a lot of fluid retention, do not forget your deep breathing. This is going to be super important. It's going to help you and your body be able to drain properly. Thanks for being with me. Let me know if you guys have any questions below, and also let me know if you guys like this style of video by just commenting below so I know to do more of this type of video for you guys. Thanks for being here, and happy draining.